I don't know why I look up these articles, and I don't know why I do these all the time on this channel because I just blackpill myself on free speech over and over and over. Cambodia, the autistic teenager jailed over a Telegram post. You know Telegram, that thing that's like totally secure. I'm kidding on. I don't know how they found the message. In June, an autistic Cambodian teenager was arrested after writing a message on Telegram that allegedly insulted ruling party officials. So obviously Cambodia is not a free country, it has a regime. He has not seen his family since, and UN experts have said that they are deeply disturbed by the case and are calling for his release. The UN. The UN said something. How nice of them, because that's literally all they fucking do. We will write you a letter telling you how angry we are. Shut up. Fucking useless. Life hasn't been easy for 16-year-old Kak Che. He has autism, and his family says he barely spoke until he was 9. At school in the Cambodian capital in Phnom Penh, I've never known how to pronounce that, other children would mock him, and he would usually spend his lunchtimes alone, clearing up rubbish on the playground to kill time. When he talks with us, he only says one or two words, says his mother, Promchantha, a human rights activist. Oh, fucking hell. This must hit close to home then. When it's time for his meal, he comes down and then goes straight back up. That's not autism, that's a teenager. Although a boy of few words, Savanche developed a passion for politics and Cambodian history, little surprised given his family history. His father, Kak Komper, who is currently jailed, was a senior member of the Cambodia National Rescue Party, the CNRP, the country's outlawed political opposition. Mr. Compere would soon take his son to opposition party events. So I love how the fact that the country's like like opposition party is just outlawed. It's just banned. So Vanche decked out his bedroom with CNRP flags alongside other memorabilia, including pictures of Jayavarman the Seventh, the most powerful king of the Khmer Empire. One thing I would say as well is basically, if we start going down the path of certain political persuasions getting outlawed. I mean, right now it's pretty much completely illegal to be far right. And regardless of what you think of that, one thing that we can all agree on is the line is not going to be drawn just there. We all know that. The line's, oh, don't worry, it's just for the far right. Oh, don't worry, it's just for the middle right. Oh, don't worry, it's just for the right. Don't worry, it's just for lib right. Don't worry, it's just for lib left. Like, so see how all the memorabilia and stuff you have around your room, just be prepared to quickly take that out into the back garden and burn it, just in case. One thing that whenever you're involved in any type of crime, if the police go in and see that shit on your wall, they will use it against you. They will. But now his bedroom is a cramped jail cell which he shares with around 20 others. Well, it is South Asia. And he hasn't seen his family in almost 3 months. He was arrested after getting into an argument on a message group on the Telegram app. The contents of the conversation are not fully clear, but Miss Chanta says her son reacted angrily when a pro-ruling party member of the group called her husband a traitor. So basically, boy talked shit about his dad, and he wanted to defend his dad. The man, a Cambodian living in Canada, then forwarded the messages to authorities, according to the teenagers. What a loser. What an absolute loser. Jesus. So because some 16-year-old dunked on you in a Telegram group, even though you're living in fucking Canada, you snitched on him to the Cambodian authorities. What an absolute loser. That is pathetic. An hour later, Jesus, around 20 police officers surrounded the family's home, armed with AK-47s. For this dangerous 16-year-old boy, in case he writes more messages in a Telegram group. 6 officers entered the house without a warrant, welcome to Cambodia, and put Savanche in handcuffs and dragged him to a waiting car, Miss Chantha says. The 16-year-old was accused of insulting government leaders. He was charged with incitement and insulting public officials. I love how that's a crime, insulting public officials. Nicola Sturgeon's coming in her pants, because see the current governments that we have right now in Britain and America, see that, oh, they want that, especially in Europe. See this, insulting public officials, oh, they want that. Technically, we already have it here because we've currently had 2 people arrested in Scotland for calling Nicola Sturgeon a Nazi. And we also have that guy, I really forget his name, but he was arrested for calling Anna Soubry a Nazi. So we almost have that here. We're getting there. You can't insult politicians. Politicians can call you a Nazi as much as they like, but as soon as you say it to them, off to jail. This just hasn't been drafted fully into law yet. But if they could, they would do it in a heartbeat. And he faces up to 2 years in jail for the terrible, terrible, awful crime of saying an opinion. This is not the first time Savanche has been targeted. He was also arrested in October after climbing into the CNRP's abandoned former headquarters to collect flags for his room. He was released 2 days later, but only after government mouthpiece Fresh News broadcast a confession in which he apologised for causing mischief. Jesus Christ, that's some raw tactics there, man. Fucking hell. And in April, he was admitted to hospital with a fractured skull after 2 men on a motorbike hit him with a brick. Just because then, I guess. The assailants have not been found, but the attack bore similarities to recent ones against opposition supporters. Right, okay then, so that's why. That'll be why it was. And obviously that's completely legal, you know. People, I mean, it happens all the time over here. People can do whatever the hell they like to us, even attack us in the street, and we deserve it. But if we ever did it to them, it would be on the front page of every paper. It would be on every mainstream news channel. There would be an entire police unit set up to solve it. I mean, it's things like, for example, right? A few years back, Antifa rioted up and down the country. All over the place. All manners of stuff happened all over the country. This is in Britain. This isn't in America. And then there was the riot that happened in London, and that was part of the Free Tommy Robinson event. And basically after the Antifa thing, the police were like, "Oh, we don't know. Oh, we've no idea. Sorry, we can't make any arrests." And then the right-wing riot happened in London in protest of Tommy Robinson being jailed. And within 2 days, everyone was arrested. Now, not condoning either of the riots, but I'm just saying there is a clear bias when it comes to political leaning and what laws get enforced and who gets arrested. His father is among the more than 150 opposition figures facing a closed-door trial for allegedly plotting to overthrow of the ruling party led by Prime Minister Hun Sen, one of the world's longest-serving leaders. I'm sure that he, every time he wins any fair and honest election, because I was told that elections don't get rigged. In power for 36 years, he has clamped down on any kind of opposition, jailing many of those seeking to oppose him. The CNRP was outlawed in 2017, and Cambodia effectively became a one-party state. So a regime, a dictatorship, if you will. Miss Chantha, who has protested for the release of opposition politicians like her husband, believes her son is being targeted due to his parents being vocal critics of the ruling party. "Now I have lost the breadwinner of the family and my child," she says. "They want to break my spirit and send a message to other people. They want to show that they are untouchable, and if anyone dares touch them, they will end up like me. But I still dare to talk, express my views, and protest. You brave, brave, brave woman." That's brave. Fucking hell, that's very flat. They might just disappear you one day, but you're still sticking at it. That is really brave. A Justice Ministry spokesman did not respond to a request for comment from the BBC. Justice Ministry. Ironic. But Phnom Penh Municipal Police spokesman San screw your name, told Voice of Democracy in June that the arrest and detention of the teenager was in line with the law. Well, you know, so was the Holocaust and the executions of homosexuals in the Middle East. Basically, but it's the law is a terrible, terrible, terrible reason because that operates under the assumption that all laws are just and fair. That is not an excuse. Well, it's the law. That's not an excuse. That's not a reason. Whenever you say that, that is an assumption that all laws are just and fair. They are not. just like the Holocaust and just like the executions of homosexuals in the Middle East. You know, pretty unjust and pretty unfair, if you ask me. This law is also pretty unjust and pretty unfair, right? So see that is a stupid argument, and see the amount of people that go, oh well, why did you make the Nazi pug video? It's against the law. So these people just assume that all laws are just and fair because, well, fucking idiots. If there was no incitement or insult, no one would have arrested him. Otherwise, all people would be arrested, he said. Shut up. Fucking feds. However, Chak Sopheap, that's an unfortunate name, executive director of the Cambodian Centre of Human Rights, says that Sovanche's case shows the witch hunt against opposition members and sympathisers as well as their relatives appears to know no limits. And one thing as well, see when one side of the political spectrum has to go after people for speaking against it, that means it is an extremely weak ideology that is so weak to scrutiny that it's terrified of it and wants to arrest it and clamp down on it. Why would you support an ideology as weak as that? The case shows the extreme lengths to which the government is willing to go to suppress any form of opposition and critics to tighten its grip on power, even if it means jailing disabled children in complete disregard for their most fundamental rights. Mu Sochua, Vice President of the CNRP, who is exiled in the United States, says Sovanche's case illustrates the insecurity of the ruling party. That's exactly what I just said, particularly Hun Sen. I think this is someone who is very insecure emotionally and psychologically, which is pretty much a problem with all dictators. Burn. Absolutely get got, you weak bastards. Fine, well done. The teenager's lawyer, Sam Sukong, is the only person permitted to visit him in jail. He cannot sleep, so he sits and sings songs every night, and other prisoners get angry with him. We are concerned that they could hurt him, Mr. Sukong says. Yeah, he's probably very correct. He added that he asked the court to take Sovanche's autism into account when assessing the case, but this was rejected on the grounds that the request was filed too late. Oh, well, the request was filed too late, so I guess he just doesn't have autism anymore. You know, yeah, I know he's got autism and all that, so, you know, but you filed the form too late, so, yeah, we're just not going to consider his autism, you know, that he has. Apparently that just takes away from the literal fact that he has autism. Whatever then. Alright, cool. He disputes this, stating he made the judge aware of this in advance. Sovanche's trial starts on the 29th of September, and I am absolutely certain it will be a very fair and forward trial. Miss Chantha is just one of hundreds of family members affected by the Cambodian government's relentless targeting of its critics. Lee Sani, 21, is the daughter of Pai Ren, a CNRP activist who was jailed in December for taking part in rallies calling for the release of other opposition members targeted on similar charges. In true fucking irony. Miss Sani knows Sovanche, who she described as a gentle but passionate boy. He loves his compatriots and old songs. He is different from other kids who are just interested in having fun, she says. The aim of the Cambodian government is to intimidate its critics is clear, Miss Sani says, but she says it could have the opposite effect. We haven't seen many countries that would do this to a young person, she says. Some people are scared and concerned about this, but other people are not afraid. This could even make more people resist and stand up, and hopefully it does. But, however, one thing that I say all the time, if a government is going after people for criticising it, then that is the sign of a weak government. And you know what should happen to a weak government.